Perfect. All right. So, welcome to our our evening restore here. We are in the dead of winter and we are winding down our year. And so, this is a wonderful way to come back home. The theme of our full moon meeting last night was definitely home and what feels like home and coming back to home base. From home base, this is where we can launch off into the next year and launch off from a place of comfort, from a place of self, from a place of alignment and warmth. And so I'm hoping that we can continue this through tonight's practice. Tonight, we're going to be starting on our backs. And so you can make your way to your mat. Make sure you have any props that you might need nearby. So any bolsters, blocks, blankets, belts. If you don't have the traditional yoga props, if anything, have a tea towel or a towel that you can roll up, or a belt of some sort or a tie that you can use for our leg series this evening. Other than that, any other kind of cushions or folded blankets or towels will work for extra padding if you need, or even pillows nearby. So I will make my way to my mat and we can begin. So starting on our backs, we will find a place that's comfortable. Find a place that's sustainable for a while. Find a place where your body can adjust. And so that might mean having a bolster underneath the legs. It might mean letting the knees fall in towards each other instead of feet on the floor. But it also might mean legs stretched out in front. You can bring the hands to the abdomen or to the heart or to the sides, wherever you feel restful and comfortable. And close your eyes. Speaking of home, I know that for me, often coming onto my yoga mat, that act alone feels like coming home. You can think of all the ways that you can come home throughout your practice as well. Sometimes it's a child's pose, sometimes in a more active practice, it's a downward dog. Sometimes it's all the way back down into Shavasana or any other variation of a reset that you require. It's so important to have those spots in which we can recalibrate. So here we come home to our mats and we start to come home to our breath as well. The soothing rhythm of our inhalation and exhalation. The rise and fall of the torso, the abdomen, the chest. The ocean-like sound that your breath makes. We take this time to set the intention that we keep ourselves supported through the practice. So we listen to our internal cues. We move within a pain-free range of motion. We support our body with props whenever we need to. And we take breaks. We come back home as often as required. Slowly start to bring the arms into a cactus pose. So that means elbows right beside the shoulders, elbows bent to 90 degrees, palms facing the sky. Now the backs of your hands may or may not reach the floor. If you need extra support, you can put any kind of support behind the backs of the hands, or you can let gravity gently draw them down as you relax through your shoulders, the front of your shoulders, the wide expanse of your chest, and let those hands fall back. Feel every inhalation. Open your heart. Every exhalation, let those shoulder blades behind the heart be supported by the earth. Let everything melt a little bit deeper into the earth below. And you can either stay here or with the breath, start to move those arms, bringing them up overhead, forming a diamond on top of the head, and then dragging the elbows along the floor, doing a snow angel, but with bent arms here, bringing some movement into the shoulders. Inhaling and exhaling. Maybe pausing at any really juicy spots along the way. Just feeling where there might be restriction and where there's movement, where your body sighs in relief with a good stretch, where you may start to hold and grip. And perhaps that's where you need some extra support. Perhaps that's a spot that goes a little bit too far in your range of motion. One more time. And come back to cactus. And now we're just going to rotate the arms. So rotating at the shoulder joint, bringing the hands up and over, and then back to cactus. So of course, you move in your own range of motion. Your palms may or may not get to the floor as you internally rotate that shoulder. I know mine sure don't. But we just find our own range of motion and a little bit of movement in this plane. One more time. And then come back, fingertips up towards the sky. We'll reach the arms out in front of us. So fingertips towards the sky, arms outstretched above you. And then we're going to give ourselves a hug. So tap the opposite shoulder with the hands. Elbows still pointing up to the sky. Those shoulders brought back into the field. Let the neck be soft, let the face be soft. Let gravity draw those arm bones down. And then reach back up again and go to the other side. So this time, the opposite elbows in front. Both elbows pointing up to the sky. Looks like you're giving yourself a hug, but you're kind of letting those arm bones fall passively into the earth, towards the earth. And then one more arm thing. We're going to roll over onto one side. And you may or may not need something to support your head and neck. The bottom arm is going to bend to 90 degrees again. So we're just in a fetal position, whatever's comfortable here. Keep the knees bent. So the bottom arm, the one you're laying on top of, comes to 90 degrees, fingertips pointed up to the sky. And then we start to let that palm fall towards the earth. You may even give it a slight press with the top hand. It's getting an interesting shoulder stretch here. And then come back up. Reach both arms out front. And just 3 times in each direction, that top arm, we're going to make 3 big circles around our body. 1, 2, 3, and then the other direction. So whenever I think about finding home in my body, what really comes to mind is restoring the natural state. The natural state of the shoulders is mobility. Once you're done on that side, you can flip over onto your other side. I'm just going to stay facing you. And then that bottom arm comes out in front of you, bends to 90 degrees, fingertips up to the sky, palm facing down towards your feet, and then let that palm come down towards the earth. Maybe you just let it hang there. Maybe you give it a little bit of an extra weight with that top hand. So in today's practice, we're going to come back home into our bodies by restoring a little bit of mobility, length, relaxation, so that everything inside can return to its place. We can start fresh. And then release that stretch. Bring both arms out in front. And then 3 times in each direction. Top arm takes big circles. After a long day, after a long week, we really want to restore some of that movement, restore that relaxation, and wake up those parts of the body that may have been neglected so that we can feel at home again. Now we'll start to come onto our backs again, and this time have your belt, strap, or towel nearby. as we start to get into the legs and the hips now. So we'll keep our knees bent, feet on the floor to begin with. Take the knees into the hands as you draw the knees towards you. And then just start to rock side to side, feeling all the muscles along the crest of the pelvis that attach the legs to that pelvis, the back. Get them massaged, rock them along the floor, maybe do a few circles. And then we're going to bring the left leg down, back down on the floor. And you have a couple options. If you don't have a strap or a belt or a tea towel, you can interlace your fingers behind the back of that right leg and stretch the foot up towards the sky. If you do have something, you can loop around the ball of that right foot. You loop around and then bring your elbows to bend comfortably at the sides so you don't have to cinch too much up onto that belt. Just somewhere where the arms are hanging comfortably, the shoulders are still falling back into the earth, but you have some support for that top leg. Press the heel up towards the sky. And then everybody bring that leg away a little bit and feel how that pelvis can tip into a neutral position. Feels like both sides are equally on the floor. And then you can start to bring that leg a little closer in while keeping that equality, that equanimity between both sides of the hip. And then if you'd like, you can stretch the left leg out along the floor, if you can do so without disturbing the peace of the pose. And then we breathe. This doesn't have to be a stretch that makes your teeth grit. The breath is still flowing. We're just feeling the length of that right leg, the back line from heel all the way to the lower back. We can feel some lengthening going on, some awakening. It's supported there. It doesn't need to hold itself up. So the hip flexor can be relaxed, the front of the hip there. And now bring both sides of the belt or the towel into your right hand. You could bend the knee as you bring it out to the side, or you could keep the legs straight. You might have something to catch that leg as it comes out to the side, so a pillow or a cushion, or you might even have the elbow to catch you. If the knee is bent, it might come all the way down to the earth as we aim to get that left hip down as well. And we just hold here for a few breaths. Now feeling the inner line of the leg. Feeling a stretch to the left side as we try to anchor that left hip down and opening through the pelvis. And then we draw that leg back up to center. And again, either with a bent knee here, drawing that knee over the body, or with a straight leg, we start to tip that leg towards the left. So it may or may not come parallel to the floor. You might have something to catch that leg on that side. If you have a wall like I do, or a bed or something that the leg can come to rest on or press up against, that also gives some support. And we feel this on the outer hip, down the lateral edge of the leg. There's a little bit of a twist happening up through the entire torso and spine. And then we come back to center and we hug that knee in. And slowly release. You can take a moment to check out that length on the right side with both legs outstretched. It probably feels interesting. And then we can go to the other side. So let's bend both knees again, feet on the floor. And then bring that left leg up towards you. Either interlace the fingers behind the back of that left thigh, or take your belt or strap or towel around that left foot. And bend the elbows, giving yourself as much length as possible. Bring the leg away from you and let both sides of the pelvis ground. And keeping that stability through the pelvis, we can bring that left leg a little closer in without sacrificing that groundedness. And then we can breathe here. Perhaps the right leg can stretch out along the floor. And we notice what happens on this leg from heel all the way through the leg, up the back of the hip, even into the lower back. We feel the length. Beautiful. If you can bring that leg closer in while we hold, go for it. Keeping the face soft, the neck soft, the shoulders grounded. And then we take both ends of the belt or towel into the left hand, and with a bent leg or a straight leg, comes out towards the left. Again, you might have something like a cushion to rest on to catch you. You might have a wall, you might have a bed, you might just have your elbow as you continue to support that, or you might bend the knee and bring it all the way down to the earth and work on softening that right hip towards the earth as well. We breathe into the inner line of the leg. We keep releasing into the earth with every exhale. And then slowly Coming back up to center, take that belt in the right hand and either bend the knee and guide that right knee to the right, or we can take that leg straight over, coming to rest on something, or just supporting it with that belt or strap. Maybe you have something nearby to rest that foot on or to press the foot up against. We continue to breathe length into the waist, into the leg, and exhale, release. And we're going to come all the way up back to center. Release the belt, bend that left knee and hug it in towards you. Beautiful. Bring both knees in. Take both knees in either hand and just start to make some circles on the ceiling away from each other. And then in the opposite direction. And then check in again. Either bring the feet to the floor or stretch those legs out in front of you. Now both legs should feel equally long, equally alive. We slowly turn onto our side and press ourselves up. And come into our first child's pose. So you can do this with a prop, or you can come into a regular child's pose, knees apart, toes together, as long as you have somewhere to rest your head. With a prop, you can always set it up to catch you as you fall forward. I like to kind of hug my prop on top. It helps to have some sort of feedback, either from the floor or from something. And if you do have a prop underneath, then likely your head will be turned to the side. So I will let you know the halfway point so that you can switch the direction of your head turn to even it out. Every exhale, the hips fall deeper towards the heels. Every inhale, we expand through the back body. Beautiful. Let's switch directions. If you had your head to one side, turn it to the other. Continue to soften through the shoulders, through the face, through the hips. The breath is fluid, natural. Beautiful. Slowly press up onto hands and knees. Take any props out from underneath. We're going to come down onto the elbows, stay on the knees here. And just like we were doing with our arms, we're going to do 3 rotations with our legs to wake up those hip joints. Yes, a little bit more active, but we're trying to restore a little bit of life in those muscles that don't get a lot of attention, especially if we're sitting a lot during the day. So let's pick up that left leg to begin with. Keep the torso elongated and neutral. So that does require, a little bit of core activation so that you're not dumping out through the ribs and compressing any part of the spine. And then draw 3 big circles in each direction with that knee, moving from the very root of the hip. And then the other direction. Beautiful. Switch legs, right leg comes up. And as if you have a paintbrush in that right knee, we make big circles. On your canvas beside you. And then switch directions 3 more. Beautiful. And then let the knees come down. This time coming into a puppy pose. It could be supported, so you might have something to catch your head. As you walk your hands forward, hips stay high, and the heart melts down towards the earth. This is also often called a heart pose. So we're really cracking that heart open. The forehead might be on the floor or on a prop. You might even have the chin on the floor. Your chest may even be approaching the floor. But those hips stay high. And then slowly walk those hands back under the shoulders. Maybe you do a few cats and cows in between to move that energy through. And then we're going to make our way onto our abdomens here. So coming all the way down, turn the head to one side, rest your temple on your hands, shake those hips a little bit side to side. And reacquaint yourself with the earth. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose here. So walking the elbows either under the shoulders or in front of the shoulders, depending on how much arc feels right for your spine tonight. We feel everything from the belly button down, really ground into the earth. So release the buttocks. You can give it a little shake just to make sure they're not squeezing you there. Make sure the tops of the thighs are grounded and the tops of the feet are grounded. And then on the next inhalation, see if you can draw those shoulder blades deeper onto the back as if they're lifting the heart forward. And start to draw those elbows towards you slightly as you traction the upper body away from the lower body, as if you could create more space between every vertebra as you draw yourself up and away along this smooth arc from tailbone all the way to the head. If you need more, you can walk those elbows closer in, right under the shoulders. If you need more still, you could always walk the hands out to the sides of the mat and straighten the arms as well into seal pose. But whatever allows you to continue pulling yourself up and out of the pelvis. Keep the collarbones wide and the heart open. And make sure you're not overextending through the head and the neck. It should feel natural, an extension of the curve of the spine. And then slowly release all the way down. Turn your head to the opposite side. Lay down onto your hands. Shake out those hips. So I'm going to look to my other side again and bring that same knee out to the side. So bending that knee, flexing through the hip, and coming into, it almost appears like a half frog pose. So with one knee out to the side, if you need extra padding, you can always put a folded towel or blanket underneath that knee. And then with that arm, I'll bring it out to kind of a cactus pose. So I look like a half of a frog here. My head turning towards the same leg and arm that are out to the sides. And I breathe softness into the pelvis as it draws very gently towards the earth. So in my case, the left side is slightly lifted off the ground once I bring that knee and elbow out to the side. And with every out breath, I'm letting gravity draw them closer to the earth. We'll do 2 more breaths here. And then we'll go to the other side. But first, return to center. Bring that leg back out behind you. Turn your head to the side. Wiggle those hips out. And And then keeping the head turned to the opposite side, I'm just going to flip around so I can continue watching you. We bring that knee out to the side, support it with any kind of folded blanket or towel. I turn on to the other side of my face so that I'm looking toward my bent elbow, the same direction as the bent knee, coming out into a cactus arm on this side. And seeing how much I can release with every exhale. Softening that hip down. Softening the abdomen. Feeling completely supported underneath by the earth. We'll have 2 more long breaths here. And then slowly return back, maybe flip the head to the other side, wiggle out those hips. We'll slowly press ourselves up to hands and knees. And we're going to make our way into a pigeon pose. So if you're not feeling like a pigeon tonight, you can always do the other version of pigeon. And I really should look up an alternative word for it. We usually say lazy pigeon. So we're in a deer pose and we can come over that top leg. If pigeon is in the cards for you, from hands and knees, bring that left knee up towards the left wrist. Walk that left leg, lower leg across the mat as far as you can, and then shimmy the right leg back behind you as far as you can. And then, because it is a restore class, if you have something that you can stuff under that left hip, you can do so. So I like to put my bolster under there so that the hips are both equal, but that left hip doesn't feel like it's suspended there, being drawn down by gravity. It actually has somewhere to sit. And then I can start to walk myself forward, either onto elbows or onto a block, onto another pillow, onto a cushion. And as I soften, I might soften closer towards the earth. I may even have somewhere to rest my head. You can always make a comfortable block by putting a blanket on one. But this is where you can get creative with support. How can you best support yourself in these poses? How can you make your body feel safe and at home so that you may start to restore what home base is? in whichever version of pigeon you're in, whether your back leg is extended or bent. Whether you're folded deep towards the earth or propped up on something. Just keep with the release on every exhale. Letting go into whatever support you have, into the earth or props or cushions or pillows. Two more long, deep breaths on this side before we switch. So we slowly start to press ourselves back up, and we extract ourselves from that side and either come into deer pose on the right side and then fold forward into lazy pigeon, or bring that right knee up towards the right wrist, cross the right lower leg across the mat as far as possible, walk that left leg back. Get any support that you need underneath that right hip so that you can sit down onto something. And from a long torso, whichever version you're in, walk yourself forward onto elbows, onto props, pillows, cushions. If you can, have the head resting on something, your hands, a block, a pillow. And start to let go. Breathe space into the back of the shoulders, into the rib cage. And soften your grip on the exhale. Soften the clench of your jaw, the furrow of the eyebrows. Any tension we're holding on to. Tension develops for a reason. It's there to protect us. It's there to compensate. But in our efforts to restoring movement, to restoring a natural and balanced posture, to restoring strength and stability, we also have to restore that softness, the length, the original length the muscles, the original elasticity of the connective tissues. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. And slowly press ourselves back up. Extract ourselves from there. Come to hands and knees. And this time either some cats and cows or maybe some circles with the hips through the waist, through the torso and rib cage. And in the opposite direction. Beautiful. And then we'll come to seated. Take the legs in front of you, bend the knees, and hug those thighs in. Let the head and neck fall. Maybe the head can even rest between the knees. And take a nice forward fold here. Slowly come back up. We're going to make our way to our backs. So as always, for our first reintroduction onto the back, you can always use a prop, either a bolster or a couch cushion. You could always use blocks with a blanket on top as well. But basically what we're trying to achieve is a little bit of a lift through the torso and the upper body, and this grounding from the hips down through the feet. And so any way you can achieve that. So here I have a long cushion underneath me. You could always do blocks in a T formation. It's a little bit less relaxing. But to lift that chest up, if you put a blanket on top of the blocks, it makes it more comfortable. But however you get there, let's get to that spot. And then bend the knees, soles of the feet on the floor. We're going to bring the feet in towards each other and let those knees fall out to the sides. And again, if those knees don't feel safe, you can stuff some pillows or blocks under there. And just bring the arms to a comfortable position. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined Cobbler's pose. Breathing space into the chest, the collarbones, the rib cage, the abdomen. And letting the knees fall open with gravity. Stretching out the inner line of the legs, opening the pelvis. For the last few breaths, sometimes I like to bring my arms up overhead, letting the thumbs fall towards the earth below me and above my head. Getting a nice stretch through the torso, the armpits, the shoulders. And then return to home and draw those knees up towards each other. And take a moment here to reset. And then walk those legs out in front of you. So it's a supported fish pose. If you did not have anything underneath your upper body for Baddha Konasana, you can walk the elbows in, bring the thumbs underneath the buttocks, and hoist yourself up onto your elbows, walking the elbows further in, and then boost that heart up and lift that heart to the sky. So it might require a little bit of muscle action. You might be able to bring your head down towards the earth or to a prop or pillow behind you. But this time your elbows are your props if you have no props underneath. So Matsyasana, fish pose. Our tails are grounded. Our hearts are bursting up. Shoulders melting back. Throat is open but not strained. And then draw that chin back in. You might press yourself up onto your elbows again, or you might roll to the side off of your props and move them out of the way and come back to your back. If you need anything else, let it move through your body. So check in with yourself. You might need another hug. You might need another twist to either side. You might need a bridge pose. Or you might need to start getting yourself ready for Shavasana. In Shavasana, you can choose whatever position makes you feel the most at home. So it could be the legs draped over a bed or a couch, the legs at the wall, the legs over a cushion, the legs stretched out on the earth. You could be on your sides, on your fronts. But wherever you choose a position where you can really come home to your body, which sometimes even means making it as cozy as possible. You may use any blankets you need. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And come back home to your breath. Check in with this home that we call our physical body. Check in with the state of being from the top of your head down through the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the nose, the lips, the chin, down the sides of the ears, sides of the neck, back of the head, back of the neck. Check in with the tops of the shoulders, down through the arms, the right arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. The left arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, the thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Down through the front of the neck, spreading across the collarbones, the chest and heart center, the armpits, the bottom ribs, the abdomen, all the way down through the front of the pelvis, wrapping around the waist and the sides of the hips. Check in with the back of the shoulders, the upper back, the mid back, the lumbar spine, the sacrum, the back of the pelvis, buttocks. The legs, the right leg, all 360 degrees of the thigh, the knee, the lower leg, the ankle, the heel, top of the foot, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, the first toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth. The left leg, all 360 degrees, the left thigh, the knee, the lower leg, the ankle, the heel, the top of the foot, the arch of the foot, the ball of the foot, first toe, second, third, fourth, and fifth. From head to toe, feeling the familiarity of your body, the safety in your body, feeling at home. Remain here for as long as you can, or even slink right off towards the bed from this position. Or perhaps it's daytime. You eventually wake yourself up, bringing life back to fingers and toes. As you start fresh from this place of home with restored length, restored relaxation, restored mobility. From this point onwards, can grow, build strength, resiliency, and always know that you have a place to call home within or on your mat, in your mind's eye. I thank you so much for practicing with me. And I'll see you soon. Many blessings of peace, love, and joy to you.